and send in my receipts and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself's probably going to. President, this is our president. We appreciate you so much. I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina and near the Bat Cave, Lake Lure area. And our area was hit. It was hit really hard.
This is absolutely brutal.
I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her.
I want to say in this video, you can really see the total contempt the Biden administration, and therefore by de facto, the ultra-resentful left-wing party has for white Americans.
Make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like at a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department...
It's completely surreal that Trump is here listening to this.
Department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come. And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles. And it took him a really long time, and he got there and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we gotta go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no, he said, we gotta go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who, she had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been in the waters, and where she had went or I don't know, but horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. My son's like, Mom, you're gonna see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that. But
how was this allowed to happen to Americans? How was this not fixed after months?
I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple.
You can tell that obviously the people who were in power had nothing but contempt for these people. But more precisely, the ideology that gripped them and possessed them is so heinous and destitute and morally bankrupt that there's just nothing there. It functionally makes people into psychopaths, not helping these Americans with psychopathic.
Well, months, because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we have went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 30.
That sentence isn't normal, to be fighting with FEMA, to have to fight against what should be an agency to rescue you, to help you, to provide aid. That's ridiculous.
32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern
FEMA should be there to help American citizens.
Is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called FEMA, and I said, this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us today is still September 27th. We haven't had help.
Obviously, I mean, you can just see from the background, but it's insane again that FEMA is having a antagonistic relationship with these people when they're supposed to be helping.
And so when I talk,
every single administrative person in FEMA needs to be fired.
To FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. It's just,
The
and
government should fix that because it's a natural disaster. It's not the job of the citizens to fix the roads, to rebuild bridges. Are you kidding me? This isn't the Middle Ages. Why do you pay taxes if the government expects you to fix your own road? What? What a complete and utter disgrace. This makes me angry. This makes me angry that the left tried to elect people that would be such enemies of civilization to not only perpetuate this, but to ignore these people. They have hatred in their heart for us.
as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my my proof that it's fixed and everything.
It's just complete incompetence. That's
It's
incompetence.
just it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten. If it had not been for
Well, God bless this woman because you're not forgotten now. I'm in California. Millions of other people are going to see this. This video, as I'm watching, is getting 1,000 likes every 10 minutes. 24,000 people are watching now. You bet this is going to be reposted on X by millions. This is so, so important.
for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help because and sometimes there's even
These
that
are good people.
survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. When you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress.
And this was happening while they were sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, while American citizens were languishing. What a disgrace.
I don't know.
I knew that this was happening, but I didn't realize it was this bad. I had no idea it was this bad. To hear that in the end analysis, the government basically did nothing, and that American citizens who were basically impeded and stopped by FEMA did the most amount of aid. That's crazy. Obviously, it speaks to our spirit, but the government should be taking care of these people. Obviously, they're American citizens.
Understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us. Help us get our community back. I could go on. I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of mom. And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader and smart.
He really is. To hike
How would you
in,
have been if he didn't come and get you?
I don't know. I'd just would have been there because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do is just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, to get, maybe what we needed or something. I don't know.
He's a real man.
He is. Thank you.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. So we're
This is what leadership looks like. And you know he's going to fire every single person in FEMA that caused this problem. This is a leader that should be feared.
going to be here. We're going to be working with our congressmen and women, and they're going to do a job. And
It makes sense that, of course, the left reviles competent masculinity. It resents it to the nth degree.
Michael Watley is going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done. And FEMA's ready to rock. They haven't done the job because they weren't really told to do the job by Biden. I guess Biden was thinking about other things, wasn't he? But they weren't told. What they did, what the past administration did to North Carolina is a disgrace. So I just want to wish you all well. I was here right after the event, and I couldn't believe it. I have never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad things, but I've never seen anything like it. And it's an honor to meet the people behind me, and it's an honor to be with our congressional delegation and some of the other politicians in the area. And it's an honor to have Michael Watley at my side, because maybe we wouldn't be standing here as president if he wasn't. Him and Laura Trump were unbelievable as the head of the Republican Party. So he happens to come from a place called North Carolina. So I said, Michael, fix it. So good luck. Good luck. And we'll supply what you need. You know that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
It's incredible how all it took to fix a languishing group of Americans that have been destroyed by natural disaster was for a president to say, you'll get what you need. Isn't that the most basic thing possible? Why wasn't that decision made in 15 seconds in the Oval Office by Biden? Because they resent Americans. They can't stand us. They're driven by an ideology which deliberately wants to do damage.
Heartbreaking stories and how there's been so many local groups
Yeah.
who stepped up to assist
Yeah,
these
that's
families.
one of the things you
Is
hear.
there any talk on having money instead of going to FEMA and going through the bureaucracy to go to
Yeah,
them?
that's what I want to do. We want to bring it locally so that a state takes care of its problem, and then they can bring it down to a local level, like Samaritan's Purse and Franklin, because that's one of the better examples. But you had numbers of people that did a great job. You have groups that did a great job and organizations. The one that didn't do a good job was the government. They did a bad job. They did, in many ways, they did no job. They weren't even available. So, good question. The answer is we go local. I think it'll work much better. FEMA is a very expensive organization that really doesn't work out very well. It hasn't. This is not the only example. So it was up to me right now. It ended right now, and I just let the state take care of the problem. I mean,
It is up to you.
You can always have problems. Let the state.
You can do
If
that.
it's Florida, it's a hurricane. Let Florida take care of it. They don't need FEMA to come in. We'll supply what they need as they need it. We'll coordinate that, and we will immediately get the Army Corps, Michael, because you need roads built. We're talking about the bridge. We're talking about roads and things. So we got to get them built. All right? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
The left's aversion to objective reality and, as they see it, giving in to oppression, aka recognizing truth, through these requirements Donald Trump has brought forward for aid, which is that in order for California to get aid, they have to have voter ID and let water flow from the north. This is essentially equivalent to saying you should care about having election integrity on the most basic level, and you should want to be able to put out fires. But of course, and this is geniusly positioned by President Trump, these are two of the most basic things an intellect could realize if it were to harness logic, reason, or any level of sanity at all. But because the left is warring due to its Marxist resentment with objective reality, it can't even acknowledge that it needs water as its cities burn. This is how much resentment they have for reality. I want people to understand that. As their cities burn, they would rather say, we don't need water than to admit that Donald Trump is right about something. That is a form of psychopathy. The left functionally makes them into psychopaths. Obviously, Gavin Newsom is a psychopath, but he's not the only one. So once again, the left will try to spin this as oppression, because any requirement that they see for them to engage with objective reality is oppression, given that reality judges them, and it judges them not in accordance with their cult-like inverted hierarchies of victimhood, but in accordance with objective parameters derivative of nature. Decided to kill these young girls. Now, I can't say what I want to do to this person on YouTube. Excuse me, it's not a person. What I want to do to this animal on YouTube. But the left, because they are warring, their resentment wars against humanity and civilization, they want to stand up for this person. They want to say this person shouldn't be judged like that. Their resentment, due to its psychopathic nature, only advances as far as they can get away with. They know they can't get away with saying he should be let go, but they would be saying that if they thought they could get away with it. They just can't get away with it. That's the way a psychopath calculates things, is, can I get away with this? Will I be held accountable? This is the reason why what we did is so important, because we held them accountable, and now they've been destroyed as a result of being held accountable. So this is just a microcosm of exactly the same thing that I was describing before with FEMA. This is the commonality of the left. The resentment Marxism has for reality and anything that is objective in its nature, meaning it references truth, it references reality rather than their ideology, is so untenable and offensive that it requires the person on the left to believe themselves to be superior to reality itself, and of course, therefore, superior to everyone else. This makes them functionally a psychopath.
If you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands. If you've lost faith in humanity, and this is your villain origin story, if you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands.
As we make America great again, there are many evils that have been settled and implanted into society by the left for their resentment, by the resentment of humanity that we have to face and overcome. And we only do that by exposing them, by shining a light on their wretched evil, by their broken nature. And that's exactly what we're doing here so that people can judge them. Be sure to subscribe to the channel.